When you hear the name Assassin's Creed, three things come to mind: large historical cities with architecture faithful to the real world, massively populated environments with intelligent NPCs, and the iconic climbing and parkour mechanics. What made these core aspects possible is a game engine called Anvil, also known as Anvil Next in its modern form. It is one of Ubisoft's primary engines, and the one running their flagship franchise, Assassin's Creed. It has been used since the very first game, back in 2007, and the engine has evolved throughout the years to support open-world games filled with grounds, climbable architecture, and seamless exploration. So how does it do that exactly? What makes Assassin's Creed distinct from other open-world games is that its cities are teeming with citizens going about their day and having some sort of autonomy. The main operator behind this is crowd simulation. It replicates dynamic real-life human crowd movement without cutting corners in terms of performance. But how did they pull this off? They actually used some clever technical tricks from the developer's side. Not every person in the game crowd is running full AI logic. Instead, the engine uses an LOD system, or level of detail, for NPCs similar to how graphics use LOD. If we take the example of an ambitious game in the series, Assassin's Creed Unity, previous titles could show up to 200 on-screen NPCs. However, AC Unity pushed this level up to 5,000 or more at once, but only fully simulating a handful. As a matter of fact, during the execution scene of Louis XVI, the crowd in that part ramped it up to an incredible 10,000 on-screen NPCs. The game creative director, Alex Amancio, stated that these are real AI NPCs that you will be able to interact with each and every one of them. If we check under the hood, the engine swaps NPCs between low detail and high detail simulation using a pooling system. So as you roam the city, more NPCs wake up around without noticing. Later games like AC Origins expanded even further on this by loading the NPCs in 3 different states. Virtual, when the NPCs are far away, they aren't rendered and only occasionally updated. Bulk, which simplifies the models for NPCs within view range and update them at a limited rate. Lastly, there's Real, which is a fully rendered NPC, which are near the player and update every frame in detail. Using this technique allows thousands of characters to appear alive in the real world without causing your CPU to crash and burn. But what is fascinating is the crowd NPCs in Assassin's Creed aren't just static ornaments. In fact, they have daily routines and react to behaviors, which makes the city feel populated and authentic. In AC Origins, for example, villagers are active whether the player is present or not. They will do work, eat, socialize, and sleep, and it is not exclusive to human NPCs only, for even animals are affected by this, and it is all unscripted. This is all tracked by the engine's meta AI, which combines a virtual tracker, a spawning system, and a goal-driven behavior system to give each NPC objectives, without the need for a designer to manually script each character. So what makes them move believably through dense cities and not collide with each other? You see, NPCs relies on Anvil's robust navmesh and pathfinding. Therefore, the level designers generate a navigation mesh across the map, so NPCs know where they can walk, backed up with avoidance behavior, to not gather in one spot. Coming from the series' predecessor, Prince of Persia, Assassin's Creed turned parkour and climbing into a signature feature and improved upon it by allowing you to parkour across the rooftops of cities and climb almost anything from medieval Jerusalem to Victorian London. And throughout the series, this mechanic kept evolving from carefully crafted paths to near total freedom. It started from designers manually placing handholds, like ledges and beams, to create set parkour routes, to an advanced version where the engine detects grips such as trees and cliffs. By AC Origins, almost any surface became climbable, with the engine and animation system allowing characters to find grips automatically, giving the player far greater freedom to scale massive environments seamlessly. And to add realism to it, AI characters can also use the environments in a similar fashion. Guards can climb ladders, patrol rooftops, or chase you across levels thanks to Anvil's navigation mesh system, which is enhanced with special nav links that mark climbable routes like ladders, ledges, or walls, though not as freely as the players. Still, by combining ground pathfinding with vertical traversals, the engine allows multi-level city navigation, letting rooftop guards patrol above and find paths back to the streets, which helps make the stealth feel layered and dynamic. Now to the main topic, the massive open-world maps. The engine renders detailed recreation of historical cities, as well as some of the land that surround it seamlessly. In the early days, open-world games often hit loading zones between areas, or short transitional screens. However, Anvil set a new bar by loading entire cities and continents in real time, such as the case of Assassin's Creed Unity, which famously had no loading within its Paris map, so you can explore the city, enter buildings, such as Notre Dame, which is amazing, and even go to the underground catacombs without going through a single loading screen. LODs are very important in this case, as it was utilized to ensure the engine keeps the world seamless by loading it in chunks. Loading what's ahead while unloading what's behind. In Ace Unity, for instance, a quarter of the buildings had fully modeled interiors that only loaded when approached. This allows the player to move fluidly from palace interiors to rooftops to the streets without loading screens, and this was improved upon with the better hardware for the consoles and PCs. With the release of Anvil Next 2, developers were handed powerful procedural tools to build Assassin's Creed massive cities more efficiently. Instead of hand placing every building, the engine could automatically generate structures in addition to street layouts based on design rules and architectural templates, letting Paris in Unity feel dense and authentic while still varied. An artist would then refine landmarks and key areas by hand, with iconic sites such as Notre Dame built to nearly 1:1 scale for accuracy, which was a first for the series. Part of what gives a seamless open world more immersion is natural shifts in time and weather. Since AC2, Anvil has supported day and night cycles, and by AC3, it introduced dynamic weather like rain, snow, and fog, all applied without reloading the game world. This feature over time kept getting more polished, in addition to being refined, like the Odyssey for example. You can watch the sun dip below the Aegean Sea and see the city lanterns gradually flicker on, thanks to the engine's smooth global illumination system and other transitions in the weather and time, which reinforce the engine's focus on creating immersive, uninterrupted worlds that feel alive and very vivid. So the Anvil engine proved to be great, especially when it comes to creating large environments and open worlds, which are devoid of repetition. I mean those you usually see in other successful open world games. And it is one of those game engines that set the bar very high, especially for this genre, with its ability to create and hold together a large open world map that attempts to recreate faithfully historical cities and environments. And despite the current state of the franchise, which is now criticized for different reasons, especially if we factor in the policies and the behavior of the company, Ubisoft, the game engine itself is still able to do lots of things, which actually look cool. And I personally think the main factor why the games look kinda worse than before is the implementation of these techniques and tools in the game itself, because I don't think it is the problem of the engine or the tools behind the artistry. Heck, not even the artists themselves, but the decisions they have to make on a daily basis to finish the game based on an agenda or based on the plan that was made upstairs, if you know what I mean. So, generally speaking, the engine is amazing and it does fantastic things as we have seen over the years, actually by now over almost 2 decades. And there you have it, guys. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, please subscribe to this channel to receive more videos like this. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.